My name is Dr. Eleanor Caldwell. Everyone who knows me calls me Ellie. I am 89 now. For 41 years, I taught psychology at Columbia, ran the Center for Lifespan Development, and listened to thousands of people try to explain why their lives felt smaller than they once dreamed. I wrote books, gave lectures, sat on panels. But the most important lessons I ever learned didn't come from research journals or conference halls. They came from the long, quiet evenings after my husband James died, when the house was too big and the silence too loud, and I finally had to face the stories I'd been telling myself for 60 years. I'm making this video because after my last one, hundreds of you wrote to me. You shared your own small lies, your regrets, your questions. Your words reminded me that we are all carrying these invisible weights, and most of us never speak them aloud. So today, I want to talk about the lies we tell ourselves to survive the day. Not the big deceptions we read about in headlines. The quiet, respectable ones. The ones we whisper so often, they become truth. The ones that, over decades, quietly hollow out a life. I lied to James for 43 years about something so small it feels absurd now. Every time he asked, usually on a Sunday afternoon while we sat on the porch with coffee, if I regretted leaving my PhD unfinished, I gave the same answer. No, darling, it worked out. I'm happy with the life we built. I said it with a smile. I said it convincingly. I said it so many times I almost believed it myself. Then one October afternoon in 2014, 9 months before he died, he asked again. Something in his voice was different, gentler, more searching. Maybe he already sensed time was short. I looked at him, at the deep lines around his eyes, at the hands that had held mine for 57 years, and the lie simply cracked open. I said, yes, I regret it every single day. He set his mug down slowly. The porch swing stopped moving. For a long minute, we just sat in the silence. Then he said, Ellie, why didn't you ever tell me? I had no good answer. I told him I hadn't wanted to seem ungrateful. I hadn't wanted him to think the life we made together wasn't enough. I hadn't wanted to admit that part of me still mourned the scholar I might have become. He took my hand. We could have figured it out, he said. You could have gone back, or we could have found another way to feed that part of you. And in that moment, I understood what my lie had cost. Not just me, but us. I had protected my pride instead of letting him see me fully. I had carried the ache alone instead of sharing it. I had robbed both of us of the chance to solve it together. That conversation changed the last months we had. We started telling each other smaller truths we'd avoided for decades. I told him I sometimes felt invisible when he talked over me at dinner parties. He told me he'd always worried he hadn't been ambitious enough for me. We laughed about it. We cried about it. We forgave each other for things we hadn't even known we were holding. And when he died, I didn't have to wonder what he really thought of me. He knew me, all of me, and he loved me anyway. That's what these small lies steal from us. The chance to be fully known and still fully loved. I had a dear friend, Marjorie, who worked beside me for 28 years. Warm, steady, always ready with a kind word. We lunched together every Thursday. We talked about students, about books, about our gardens. After she retired, her daughter called to tell me she had passed pancreatic cancer, discovered too late. At the memorial, her daughter said something that still echoes. Mom always said you were the only person at work she felt safe with. She wanted to tell you things, but she never did. I stood there holding a program with Marjorie's smiling face and realized I had never truly known her. Not really. I knew the version she showed me, the cheerful, capable colleague. Whatever pain, fear, or longing she carried beneath that smile, she took to the grave. And I had never asked. I had accepted the surface because it was comfortable. We do this with the people we love most. We tell ourselves, I'm fine. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't want to burden them. They wouldn't understand anyway. These aren't lies we tell to hurt others. They are lies we tell to protect ourselves. But protection becomes isolation. Isolation becomes loneliness. And loneliness, the long-term kind, is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, more dangerous than obesity, more corrosive than high blood pressure. My son Daniel came to visit last spring. He's 61 now, a high school history teacher. We were in the kitchen making coffee when he suddenly said, "Mom, there's something I've carried since I was 22 that I need to tell you." My heart sank. I braced for something awful. Instead, he said, "When you and Dad asked if I wanted to join the family practice after college, I said no, because I wanted to teach. That was half true. The other half was that I was terrified I'd fail at it. I thought if I disappointed you, I'd lose you, so I pretended I didn't care about the offer." I stared at him. "Daniel," I said, "you could never disappoint me. I only wanted you to be happy." He smiled, eyes wet. "I know that now, but I didn't then, and I've carried the fear that I let you down for almost 40 years. We talked until the coffee was cold. Not to fix anything, there was nothing left to fix, but to finally lay the ghost to rest. When he left, I felt 20 pounds lighter, not because the conversation erased the past, but because the truth had finally been spoken between us. Here's what I've learned at 89. The lies we tell to avoid discomfort end up costing us everything worth having: real closeness, real forgiveness, real presence. Pride, fear of looking weak, fear of being too much, fear of rejection, they build walls brick by brick until we're living in a fortress alone. I see it in my building every day. There's a woman, Ruth, 84. She insists she's fine. Her children call once a month. She tells them not to worry, she's busy. But I've watched her stand at the mailbox on Saturdays, staring at the empty slot, then walk back inside with a face full of quiet grief. Pride is killing her slowly. She doesn't want to burden them, so she burdens herself instead, alone, unseen, unheard. I'm out of time for pretending. At my age, every conversation could be the last one. So when someone asks how I'm doing, I tell them. When I'm frightened about a test result, I say so. When I miss James so much I can't breathe, I let the tears come. When I'm grateful for the sun on the porch, for Daniel's voice on the phone, for another morning, I say it out loud. It isn't bravery. It's necessity. I've wasted too many years hiding to waste the ones I have left. If you're watching this and you're holding on to a small lie, something you've told yourself or someone else for years to avoid pain, I'm asking you to consider setting it down. Not all at once. Not recklessly. Start small. Tell yourself the truth first, in the quiet of your own mind. Then, when you're ready, tell one safe person. I'm struggling. This still hurts. I'm scared. I need you to know me. The people who love you or who want to love you will not run from the truth. Most of the time, they'll move toward it. 3 books that helped me face my own lies. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This channel is for people like us, older, reflective, still learning. If this meant something to you, subscribe, turn on notifications. Share it with someone who might need permission to stop pretending. And in the comments, if you're willing, tell me one small truth you've been avoiding. No pressure, just honesty. I read every one. I may not answer them all, but I carry them with me. Thank you for listening to an old woman who finally learned that being seen, really seen, is the opposite of weakness. It's the only strength that lasts.